Hi, I'm Steve Ashby. I'm a managing partner of Appellon Consulting, a business that's set up to help SMBs and large organisations survive and thrive in today's economy.
Tell us a bit more about your professional background and O2O workshops.
Okay, professional background, 30 years experience in senior management, HR roles really around the world. I'm originally from New Zealand, but I've worked in many countries in Europe, in Japan, across Africa, the Middle East, Central Asia, and Australia, as well as, of course, New Zealand. The O2O workshop is a one-day program that's designed to help SMBs, particularly SMBs, to regain their confidence in today's very difficult market times. They are a set of leadership and organisational behaviours which are very practical that we take people through during the day. And what we've found in terms of the feedback from people who've been on the workshop is that it really does help them to structure the way they want to move forward, to regain their confidence in themselves and in their products and services, and to be able to go back out and, instead of focusing very much just on the day-to-day and the difficulties in front of them, to regain a perspective for the medium and the long term. And we cover the difficult issues like downsizing and cost cutting and so on, but we talk about downsizing with dignity in a way which protects the organisation's reputation, makes sure that the people who are left as survivors are willing to continue to work and to represent the company, because that's one of the big issues that's happening in Dubai. The way that downsizing is being done, many companies are alienating their employees to the extent that those employees are scared, disenfranchised, and really incapable of representing the company adequately. So we advocate manage your downsizing quickly, communicate with your staff well, make sure you choose the people who are the right people who need to stay and the right people to go, and spend an awful lot of time communicating with them.
We all know that the realities of business have changed in the last few quarters. The question is, do you see things ever going back to the way they were, and is that good or bad?
If you describe the way they were as the frenetic pace that characterised the UAE last year and in the previous few years, particularly in the property and construction sector, I don't think it will come back. But there was an unreal pace. It was very, very difficult to provide quality, anything at that pace. Quality buildings, quality services. The pace was just so frantic that people couldn't keep up. I think that what will happen, and I think the signs are already starting to happen, and if you saw our ruler's recent address through the webmail, he's confident that there's changes starting to happen, and it looks like things are starting to bottom out. I think they are starting to turn, but I think it'll be a long time before they go back to anything like what they were. The implications of that are that whatever organisations were doing yesterday in terms of how they manage themselves won't be sufficient today, which is why we call the workshop O2O, Ordinary to Outstanding. And the concept is that yesterday was ordinary. To survive and thrive in today's market, you have to be outstanding. And that's what we take people through.
How has the concept of leadership, business leadership, changed in the current scenario?
I think business leadership has changed in two particular areas. One, there's far more of a need for managers and leaders to confront brutal facts that they probably haven't had to confront before, because business in the last 10 to 15 years has been generally pretty good, and there's a lot of managers who've never had to downsize, they've never had to make people they know well, who they know their families, they've never had to make people redundant, they've never had to take salary cuts or put salary cuts into place. And so there's a level of management control and courage required now that probably wasn't required before. The other key area is confidence. In this market, it's absolutely essential for a leader to be able to not only have confidence themselves, but to be able to express that confidence every day to their staff and to all their other stakeholders, because the entire business will stand or fall on whether the leader displays confidence.
It's interesting you mentioned confidence and convincing stakeholders, because that's my next question. I mean, it's great to have a strategy, but what would be the best way to convince your stakeholders of your vision, especially today?
I think you've got to be able to take, well, first of all, you've got to have a vision, and the vision that is written down. So you need a very clear plan, which is one of the things we advocate in the workshop. And in fact, the workshop is built around designing that plan to move from ordinary to outstanding, and it covers all of the bases that you would expect. It's way beyond a strategic plan, but you do need to have a very detailed strategic plan that looks at the impact on your stakeholders, your distinctiveness in the marketplace, your positioning in the marketplace, what customers you want to keep, what customers you want to let go because they're not prepared to pay for your distinctiveness. You have to have such a strong management control over your costs, and if you have that and you are able to articulate all of those distinctive elements, then you will be able to convince your stakeholders, convince banks if you need money in order to keep going, and most importantly, you'll be able to convince your employees, and you will still have a robust business.
Do you think the current scenario will discourage aspiring entrepreneurs, or will it create opportunities for entirely new business models?
Albert Einstein said that in the midst of difficulty lies opportunities, and he was one of the smartest men who ever lived. I know of a senior Indian businessman, very, very well respected. He's the vice chairman of one of the largest companies in the UAE, and he told me 2 weeks ago this is the most exciting time he's ever been in business, and he's been here for 40 years, and he's running an organisation that's turning over 5 billion dirhams. He said there is so much opportunity if you make decisions wisely and quickly. There has never been a better time to be in business. He says it will last about 18 months and then it will be back to the way it's been for a long time. So he, and I would believe him because he's proved it over 40 years, he believes it's a fantastic time to be in business. So if you're an entrepreneur, there's no better time to start, because if you can make it now, you can make it any time.